But there's a rice shortage.
All
You know,
right.
not only Asians are mad, but people that are allergic to gluten would be mad. Okay, because rice is a very, very good substitute for carbs if you can't have gluten. By the way, just FYI, not because I'm dating someone that has a gluten allergy, but it's a real problem, guys. Okay, stop laughing at people that have problem with their gluten allergies. Not like they're trying to be fancy. Sometimes they just can't have it. I see the pain. It's bad.
But yes, there is a rice shortage, which reminds me of like I remember a couple years back there was like a kimchi shortage. Do you remember that? And when like all the Koreans were like struggling because there was like kimchi shortage.
I remember the sriracha shortage.
Oh, this I never heard. Yes, that's tough. Rice shortage?
Yeah, and that's crazy. And when I told that to like Tyler, he was like, "What do you mean a rice shortage?" I'm like, "I don't know."
Right? It's almost like impossible. Why would there be
Did
rice
I
shortage?
even read the article? No. You know, like I just. But I hope there's enough rice.
Yeah.
Wait, did you mean rice as in jasmine rice or like just
the
type of rice? Because you know what? I'm fine with Spanish rice. They're yellow rice, actually very tasty.
They are pretty tasty. And it's easy to cook
Yeah,
too.
so I think we need
the
to read
long
that
grain
article.
rice or the
Nothing about what type of rice. Just rice in general. So but it says China and India, so it's like probably white rice. Yeah.
Don't India have the long grain rice? Like the what's it called? Biryani?
Yeah. Basmati.
Uh-huh.
Oh my god, I'm horrible. I don't even know my dad's rice. Actually, no, he does the jasmine rice. You know, it's just fluffier and like softer. I bet you it's that type of rice that's shortage. That's like the basic rice.
Yeah, it's also rice. I think it's also more expensive.
I don't care. If it's brown rice, I don't care. That sounds racist, but it's not. I swear, I'm brown.
Okay.
Anyways. Today we have a special guest.
Yes.
Once again, a guest that we were a guest of his podcast.
Yes, he is the host of What Kind of Asian Are You? And he has a lot of great podcast episodes with a lot of different kinds of Asian. A fellow Canto person in Canada.
I don't even know people. Do people know his name is Kyle? Like on his podcast.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, right. He's like a mystery person.
I didn't know until like he messaged us personally.
That's true.
Welcome, Kyle.
Yeah, for sure. First off, thank you so much for having me. It's really, I'm not gonna say it's a dream come true, obviously, but it's a big thing that I'm on this podcast because people that I'm following that are like in the Cantonese sphere, the kind of thing, all like always kind of refer to you guys in terms of the memes that you guys do or just any videos that you guys. So you're on my radar all the time, and to have you guys first off be on my podcast, talk about your experience, with all these kind of things, and now I'm on your podcast. I'm really honored. But for the listeners and viewers, hi, my name is Kyle. I'm the host of What Kind of Asian Are You podcast, a podcast featuring conversations about being Asian. So that's how we kind of got connected, is through podcasting and social media and whatnot. And I was born in Hong Kong, moved to Canada when I was 4, lived there ever since. Lived and worked in Taiwan for a little bit, and then now back in Canada.
We actually in Kyle's podcast his interview, and his interview did really good. Like oh my god, it was so pro. And then we listened to it, like wow, our voices sound good here.
Your voices sound great anyway, so it always is about the content, not really that much about the technical stuff anyways.
I guess
you ask great questions.
Content matters in the whole social media sphere.
That too.
I felt like I was like learning myself. I'm like, oh my god, self-realization.
And hopefully your fans know more about you guys. So
yeah, hopefully we did share a lot our links. I love it. So I was curious, like you moved to Canada, was it like your family kind of move all together? It was just you went to study there, or like why did you move to Canada?
Calabay,
Oh,
why,
well,
huh?
it's a great story time moment. I'm sure with a lot of people from Asia, especially, in the Cantonese sphere, and if they're aware of like, Hong Kong situation, Macau situation,
Yeah.
I moved when it's the great 97 time when
Okay.
everyone wanted to move away from Hong Kong because, they think shit
Oh.
was gonna go down and blah, blah, blah. So my whole
Oh.
family kind of just migrated to Canada because we have family there already.
That's when China is like, okay, you have 50 years until
Yes,
Hong Kong.
exactly.
Ah, okay. Yeah, we
Hmm.
were like 2 years old, so we're not.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I remember learning that in history. Like, yeah, when
Hmm.
China took over, they're like, oh yeah, okay, you have 50 years to be independent. After 50 years, Hong Kong will belong to China. And same for Macau, I think. Oh,
But I
okay.
feel like
Yeah.
Macau is in a different situation. Is so different that
Oof.
people didn't really need to like move out of Macau when things were
Mm-mm.
back to China kind of thing. I
Yeah.
think it was a good transition.
I feel like
Yeah.
the mentality is also a little bit different. I don't think Macau like would be as like Hong Kong where would they stand up, in front of like the whole government and be like, we want this place to be ours. Like I don't think Macau, I don't know. Maybe because we're
They're
smaller
just
too.
like, whatever, as long as you give us some subsidy, it's fine.
Yeah, I agree with that because I think China definitely took a different approach in terms of dealing with Macau and Hong Kong. With
Yeah.
Yeah.
everything like in history, like it seems like Macau and Hong Kong are like even though both of them are from China, but then they took in a different approach of how they dealt with it in terms of Macau. It's the casinos, the subsidies, and every year you guys get like $5,000 kind of thing. When
Double now.
yeah,
It's not bad.
double.
Yeah.
Hong
I
Kong,
don't,
like
but
they only
you.
recently or like they don't do it every year as well. It's only when shit goes into
Oof.
like
Uh,
the fan where it's like, oh, we need to make sure that the citizens are like, okay, we'll give out voucher, we give money out, but you guys it's every single year because you got that casino money.
yeah, casino being
That's true.
taxes. So that's a time when a lot of people moved to like Canada and Macau, like your generation. That's
Or
when,
UK, you think?
yeah,
Yeah,
or
I think
UK.
Canada, UK, the US, those are popular
Mm.
places. And of course, the UK, that's the number one, I think. But yeah, that was the big migration, and I was
Mm,
part of that.
crazy.
Nice, so good job.
Is Vancouver the place where there's a lot of Cantonese in Canada?
Yeah, in terms of Canada is a pretty big country, but like the main cities are really just on the different coasts, like East Coast and West Coast.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I happen to live in the East Coast. I live in like the Greater Toronto area.
yeah. Okay.
And in
Ooh.
regards to like Cantonese kind of stuff, I guess I don't know if it's lucky or whatever it may be, but I grew up and lived in an area where it's like predominantly like Chinese people,
Oh,
where in
okay.
the earlier times it was pretty much all people from Hong Kong or Cantonese speaking.
Ooh.
So it's always where no, you hear Cantonese everywhere. You can eat Cantonese food. You got
Everything is in Chinese?
yeah, for the most part, not like officially, but like
Yeah, yeah.
you got all the malls that you can go to that were like Chinese like vibes. So it's like you didn't feel like you were like,
Ooh.
oh, away from Hong Kong really. Like
Oh.
people in the older generation, they could live where they don't need to learn English.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's kind of like in Florida in some parts where it's just Spanish speaking and people don't really need
Mm,
to learn English to survive there, even though it's America.
That's true. It's
Yeah.
true. That's true. Yeah, nearby me is also with Spanish.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Even like
Wow. I got cousins on the Vancouver side, so
hmm.
that's Filipino side.
There's Filipinos everywhere though.
Yeah, right. That's true. It's just
There's like
because
Chinese
we're
and
just so
Filipino, they're everywhere.
lovable.
Hmm.
Yeah, we're just so like people pleaser. Good for business.
Yes.
Wait, so how's your Cantonese? Is your Cantonese
Yeah,
good?
yeah.
Yeah.
Ew, in terms of a Cantonese, I would say I don't feel
Xin chào
like
con mà.
struggle, sick on, sick
Oh, okay.
can,
Oh,
Có sức xẻ.
sick ass, sick dog.
oh,
Okay.
sick
But I
tục
feel like
khi
if I really want to
mà.
put an effort on learning how to write, it's just one of those things where you just gotta have to practice all the time, or you just gotta lose it. Even like you like you know it all your life. Like for example, like my mom and dad are like they know Chinese for sure, but at this point where it's been like 20, 30 years since they really have to write Chinese all the time, they're always going to be like, I don't remember how to write certain words, or like they get the words wrong and I know it. They go by the sounds of it at this point.
Yes.
Actually, that makes
So-
me feel better because for us, it's like it's so easy to just forget our Chinese. But then if even your parents forget, they're like, okay.
Yeah, it's
Exactly.
tough. Like
Don't feel
writing is such a hard thing to do, and like obviously I went to Chinese school, but really you don't learn from that. If anything, I learned most of my Chinese from watching TVB dramas and reading the subtitles. How
Wait,
else are
Oh
you gonna learn
yeah,
as a
when it's
kid?
especially when it's Chinese English subtitles, some like those old ones that would have it. I
Yeah,
love
the
it.
old ones and the like Hong Kong movies for sure they will have Chinese and
This is the
English
movie.
subtitles, regardless. Any kind of movies,
Yes.
I didn't know
so
there
you can
was
follow along.
TVB in
Love it.
Canada too.
Yeah, back in the day, it was a lot where like you just have like cassettes, VHS, and all that stuff,
What the
where your family sent it over or
Oh.
whatever, or like
Oh.
eventually like the TV like progression stuff. We have our own like Chinese TV station that just
Cable.
buys the TVB dramas to play here, and then I get to watch it. And
I
then
love it.
yeah,
That's just like the
Oh.
Filipino channel for my mom, like when she does it in Macau, like to get
Oh.
Filipino channels. Because
So she can watch all the
but then like they
telenovas
had
and
the
all that
TVB
stuff.
stuff. Exactly. Oh my god, they're so dramatic.
Oh. It's
But
kind
just
of
so cool. It's nice to know that they do it too.
yeah. I was like, I didn't
Like
know they had
TVB.
TVB here.
Yeah, yeah. It's wild how much like Hong Kong is in like the area that I lived in for so long.
Yeah.
Of course, now it's a little different when more people from China are like moving to the area. But then that's another story. But like for most part, it was very much like Cantonese inspired in terms of like pop culture stuff that I could feel and see. And also with the Cantonese food, is like we got the legit stuff because a lot of people that migrated during the 90s, a lot of them did end up where they were like chefs and cooks and stuff because the barrier was slower. But these days, they don't want the cooks and chefs to immigrate, right? They have like, oh, you have to be IT, banking, law, all that stuff. Then you can immigrate. But back then, like the barrier was so
Interesting.
much fewer, so that we got the good food. I think with Canada, like with Asian food, at least with Cantonese food, you can't beat being in Toronto or Vancouver. That's where all the good Cantonese foods are.
Damn, we're so far.
Yeah. But I mean, New York has some good Chinese food too.
That's true. I've been to Flushing a couple times, and I have to say, I was not disappointed. I was pretty impressed. And
Meet up to your local standards, so it's a win.
yes.
How about the food in Florida for Chinese food?
It's not great. Not great.
Oh.
I heard that the closest like best like a good Asian food is in Fort Lauderdale, which is like an hour away, like with traffic. So I haven't tried that yet.
I know
Yeah.
it's not Chinese food, but is there actually a Jollibee for you though in Florida? Has they expanded there yet?
An hour away.
Damn it.
The problem with like Florida is just huge,
Yeah.
And I
True.
want even an H Mart. There's an H Mart in Orlando, I think. Like so far.
If only
It's like 3
Jollibee was
hours away.
closer than you, then you have at least some sort of home.
Yeah.
Exactly. I actually like I had my boyfriend like drive me to that Jollibee like just to buy Jollibee.
What's your
that
order?
One time I was like, oh my god. I
What-
get the
what's your order?
spicy chicken joy with rice, extra gravy, and I would get the yum burger. I like the yum burger because I can't decide between two, and then I will also get an extra spaghetti just because.
Yes, the spaghetti is key.
I always get spaghetti too.
I get everything, okay? Because I'm just
But-
like, this is a long trip, and I need a,
It's worth it.
Yeah. And I like honestly, you ordering the rice is so typical, but at the same time, I feel like as someone that's Chinese, like I would order the rice, but at the same time, it's too much rice. Even with fried chicken, I'd rather just get the spaghetti. I don't know if it's just
That's
me, but it's like it seems like every Filipino will still get the rice regardless.
Oh,
There's There's
Oh
always
my God.
rice.
No, but that rice is just something different. Like it's like packaged, in that paper. That packaged paper. It's just so good. I don't know what's
And then
with
if you
that
only
rice that
knew,
looks
if
so
they tell you it's like it's the most basic stuff, anyways, I don't know why you like going crazy over it. It's nothing. It's like not better than what your grandma would make.
And another
Yes.
comment that I've gotten is like, oh, why would you have gravy with rice, right? Because it's like gravy chicken, and then wait, no. First of all, it's like, why would you have gravy with chicken? Because they put gravy on steak or something, right?
And turkey.
I mean, they
Yeah.
all. I think
People
for
are
me,
so
it's like I
limited with
see
their
it as like
imaginations, bro.
yeah, and like with Cantonese food, we have cha cha tan food where it's like gravy on things.
I think one of the other main things for people is the sugar in spaghetti. Was that weird for you, Kyle? Like it's just I guess trying it for the first time and
Sweet spaghetti.
yeah, sweet spaghetti because
I love it. Like I would get that anytime because I like,
Yes.
but I wish like I could get it more. It's just that I find myself not wanting to eat at the Jollibee in Canada, just
Okay.
because I
Are there a lot
have
of
lived.
Filipinos?
There are a lot of Filipinos. We have several locations actually,
Mm.
but like my problem is like I also lived in Singapore for a year, and they have
Mm.
Jollibees as well because there are a lot of Filipinos there for sure as
Yeah.
well. And no, the prices are way better than in Canada.
Mm.
Oof, for
I
So
can
it's
sure.
like I can't
imagine.
justify getting
Yeah.
Jollibees here when I remember getting there. It was like, oh, so good. Like,
See, that's my problem with Asian food here. Like, I'm just trying to get like food from home, but then when I think about how much it is in Macau, I'm like, ah, is it worth it? Darn
And
it.
they give so little rice when honestly in like in Asia, right, they want to give you more rice because they want to get rid of the rice because there's a lot of rice, like
hmm
usually. But then here it's like, oh, here's one small cup, and it's like this is not enough
yeah,
for my meat.
yeah, I
Yeah.
totally get what you guys are saying, and I think I kind of feel that as well. But like, I love Asian food, especially Cantonese food, too much. And also, I'm thinking of it this way, where it's like there's gonna be less and less people making Cantonese food. So if I don't eat it now, eventually it'll go away too, especially
Do you
in
think
like the
so?
West. In the West, because
Okay.
no one is gonna keep going to making like cha cha tan food where the margins aren't great. No one cares to like elevate it to like continue it. So if I don't eat it now, even at the higher price point, I'm gonna not have it later on. So I'd rather eat it now than later.
That's
Hmm.
If it wasn't for that
I would
mindset, I would not eat that much Asian food still. I would just eat like regular white food. But that's not
That's
that
true.
fun.
Yeah, that's what I
Because it's
wonder
always gonna be
too.
there.
Yeah. And because like like the even like dim sum food, like
Mm,
it's not easy to make. Like I recently
yeah.
watched a video of how like the chef makes like dim sum and how if for different dim sum like siu mai hakao, there's all different types of dough to like wrap them, and then it's like how do they make money off of this? Because it's like first you have to get the ingredients and all the skills and no
It's
wonder.
basically just
It's
working
crazy
on
because
0.001 margin, profit margin probably, and that's still like not enough, right?
Yeah.
Like I
yeah,
can't think of
it's just
any people
everywhere.
our
Like
generation
in
wants to be a
Asia.
dim sum master at this point.
But
That's
don't you think the
true.
demand will still be there though? Like if there is high demand for it, because there's like us doing this
It will
podcast,
be expensive food. That's what it
yeah,
is,
like fancy.
like yeah, because it's like authentic Asian, but not even Asian, like Chinese food. Like that's like already like oh, Din Tai Fung is expensive. No, don't you think?
Yeah.
You,
Yeah, Ting Tai Fung
that's
is
expensive.
it is expensive, but people are I think in the West are getting more into Ting Tai Fung. They know more
Yeah,
about it with
right.
Taiwan now, but I feel like with dim
Ugh,
sum is like people always expect like no the cheap and like the quick and that kind of
yeah,
thing.
that's what
Whereas like
it's.
you go there after like a drunken night kind of thing. That's I think the perception of people in the West,
Yes.
but they don't realize there's really good Chinese dim sum that you can have that you're not willing to pay for it every week.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like I'm sure the ones that we get aren't like the super like 5-star dim sum thing because I assume that we will want to have it at least once a week or whatever, whenever
Yeah.
we have family or whatever. Like my grandma, if she could, she would eat dim sum every day.
Yeah. Have you been to Hong Kong? Like
Yeah,
after you left?
Yeah, after I left, there are a few summers I went early on when I was younger, and then my family
Oh,
just
okay.
stopped going,
Okay.
just because, work or whatever. And then, of course, I went back around 18, 19 to get my ID. Um,
So you're a Hong Kong resident?
yes, I'm a Hong Kong resident.
香港人.
Yeah,
Wow.
and yeah, I even have the 回鄉證, but that's not that useful.
Really?
I
It
really wanted
expired.
to get that thing, but like because like I had like an English name and I didn't have a Chinese name, or maybe because my
Oh, that's gonna
passport.
mess you up. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's like you're not 中国人, you cannot get
You
it.
needed a Macau passport to
Yeah.
apply for 回鄉證.
Mm.
For a Macau passport, you need to have a Chinese name.
Nationality,
Yes, Ami.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I love how like I got it when I was 18,
Okay.
and my parents were like, "Yeah, you're gonna eventually use it." Never end up using it. I still have it, but like I haven't really been back to China.
Mm.
Yeah. Oh, it would be just a food trip to go there, honestly. I mean, because
You probably have family
just,
there too.
Think about
still,
it. It's
right?
it's like a inverted like America. Like the cheap food is the Asian food. You know what I mean? And it's like only if you
Expensive
want
food is
American
like
food that
burgers,
is
right? Good
expensive.
burgers and
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I think it's a different kind of mindset of going to China now. You can't expect it to be like cheap anymore. Like if you're gonna go
Not
back,
too
you wanted like the
cheap.
luxury, like it's
But
it's.
still, you don't need a tip.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Right?
But then
And
same
you
in
know
Hong
what you're
Kong though.
getting.
yeah.
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 And
That's
then yeah,
Even
and then when I
7-Eleven
lived in
food's good.
Taiwan, I went to Hong Kong almost every
oh.
Chinese New Year or like anytime I get. So
Ooh,
that was nice.
Chinese New Year, you get that value. You get the 恭喜發財
Licey,
Yeah.
licey.
Lazy. But we don't recommend foreigners to go there during Chinese New Year because there will be nothing to do.
Yeah, no, for sure. My family in-law went there. Well, actually, they were unlucky because it was also the middle of COVID, but like everything was closed because what is it? For the first 3 days, they all have to stay home, right? And that's a tradition. You have to spend
It's not
time
really
with
have to stay home, but nothing needs to be open, so it won't be open.
A lot of places would be still open just because they want money. They're like, oh, extra, I don't know how many %, right? But still,
if they're traditional, they usually like close down and then not close down, but
like I think I went back during Chinese Year at least twice. When I was in Taiwan, I was like, oh, it was good just because I have family there. If I did not have family there and during the Chinese Year, I'd rather just go like the Philippines or anywhere Southeast Asia. Well, actually not everywhere, anywhere Southeast Asia. Maybe just Philippines because they don't have that much of a Chinese New Year thing, right? So
they don't. Yeah, that's true. You're right. Yeah.
when you were in Taiwan, you probably had the chance to like visit all of the other Southeast Asian countries too, no?
Yeah, I've been to the Philippines twice, and I've been to Singapore.
Nice.
Singapore.
Yeah.
Ooh,
It's weird that when I do tell like people that are friends that are like Filipinos and we're like, yeah, I've been to twice. Oh, that's more than I have. Or like I was like, I get why, but I also was like, oh, that's sucks or whatever it may be.
It does. It does.
Because when we go with our families, and when we go with our families, we go to the province. And the province, when we're
guess what? I've
sleeping
been
with
to
our
the
cousins,
province.
we'll get lice.
Ooh.
I've been to a province because once I went with like a friend that ended up just going there with her mom, and then like she was like, "Do you want to come?" And like I was like, "Sure." And but we're not gonna be in Manila or the main city. We're actually gonna go to like the province that my mom's from,
countryside. Yeah,
the countryside. And then it's like, "Oh yeah, sure."
Did you stay at a hotel?
No, we stayed at her family's place.
Wow.
And it's a situation where it's like
That's
it was
actually that is very province.
Yeah, and then it was very it was funny.
Did you
actually.
tabo when you shower? Tabo?
Yes. Yeah.
You got the local.
Yes, right.
Yeah, I got the local. Yeah, I had fun. Like, but we of course we also did like the resort thing. Like we did like where we did stay in like her parents or like her family's place, and then it was funny because in that province, like we know the province is not like where everyone's still there or whatever. We literally had a chance where there was like a swimming pool kind of thing, a public one, where it was just closed, but we just happened to be able to go in. It was just the two of us, and then there was just like kids manning it for their parents. They were just watching us swim. I don't know how that happened.
Interesting.
I don't know if it's just closed and they
where
opened
in
it up for us. But like, but yeah, it was fun. I went
Where
to the
was it?
Thousand Island as well.
Oh,
I don't remember exactly where I went. I just followed along, honestly. Like she was like,
That's so cool.
just make it to Manila. We'll pick you up, and then we'll stay in Manila for a night, and then we go to the province, and then we like just did stuff there.
you know, that's what I like about
Nice.
traveling. I love like getting the, you know, the local experience, like getting good best of both worlds, you know, kind of just understanding what people are, how people are like there, and yeah.
I hated the mosquito bites.
That
Yes.
too.
So much
That
mosquito
does suck.
bites.
Like, and it's the
Oh
same
my
in like
God. And then
any
my uncles
tropical
took me
country.
to a chicken fight ring in the middle of
Oh.
nowhere. I was like, wait, is this illegal? You know?
You don't ask, you just do it, and you
Yeah,
know,
you
hope
don't
for the
ask.
best.
I know, yeah. I was like, I wanna get an experience, and it's like, all right, and then it's like, okay, where are we going? It's like, there's all these men like around the cage, just like, you know, with like cash, like betting on I don't know what cock, but then it's just like this one guy taking the money, and he remembers all of that for some reason, and it's just like chickens, and yeah, if your chicken loses, then they just cook it outside.
Yeah.
Like,
Don't they have like grasshopper fights too in China?
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Yeah, similar. Like they also bet on
No,
the grass.
anything so you can gamble, honestly.
Yes! Oh my God. I was just thinking about America, like they have gambling for literally any type of sports, but then in Asia it's any types of animal. That's
Yeah.
kind of sad. Never mind.
Interesting.
Sad,
I never
but,
thought
you
of
know,
that. Interesting.
It's tradition. I'm not saying that you should continue it, but at the same time, you know, they've been doing it for ages.
That's true.
Talk about your podcast. What made you start this podcast?
Yeah, I started this podcast during the pandemic. It was where like everyone and their mom had a podcast. You know, that's the thing to do. That's a cool thing. I don't know if it's you know, still something that you should have done, but you know, I'm still doing it. It's fun. And
Yeah.
I think what really got me to doing this was the fact that I felt a lot of times in like, you know, just mainstream media or even in podcasting space, a lot of the voices you can hear or like stories that you hear typically are revolving around like, you know, mainstream media, so whiteness and all that stuff. Even if it was with regarding to Asian identity and all that stuff, it's very much where it feeds into two things. One, where it's like it's very white narrative, where it's like you're part of the mainstream culture, you're very white, no whitewash and all that stuff. Or the other aspect where it's like you grew up where it's like, oh, everyone hated my lines, they made fun of me, all that stuff. So there's only two kind of stories, but I feel like there's more
Okay.
stories than that, where it's like, you know, it could be Asians doing really cool things, or like Asians that did not have like, you know, those really hard identity issues that they got.
Yeah.
And no, I want to highlight that because really most of the time, not right now, recently with all the movies with Asians and stuff, it's always, well, my family was horrible. We have family issues. Of course, that's legitimate, but it's not the
Yeah.
whole part of it,
It's
right?
not the only thing about being Asian, yeah.
Like I didn't have a like experience of like where people made fun of my lunches because everyone was either an immigrant or Chinese, so they were okay with my fried rice or whatever dumplings and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, but then you keep hearing it's like, oh, people made fun of my lunch. They called me names. They excluded me. Like, of course, those happen, but it's not the whole of it. And I'm noticing more people are telling me like, well, I didn't have the experience. I live in a very Asian area. I was able to do cool things and. I want to highlight that, and you know,
You
it's fun
wanted-
to talk to Asian people.
So you wanted like a more Asian narrative on like stories around the Asian community and stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Yeah, that makes sense, and it's pretty cool. And I guess
Yeah,
I
like
also,
us, we're weird, you know, we're Asian, but it's like
we
you
don't
know,
fit
not the
in that
mainstream Asian.
narrative. Yeah, exactly.
You guys make it where you're outside the narrative, but still very in the narrative. So with what you guys do, and you're doing well. People resonate with it, even though you're not part of you're the outcast, but people still relate to it heavy.
It's like a little bit on. Okay, that's I don't know if that's
Have
the
you
best.
taught that phrase yet? Have you taught that
No,
phrase yet?
actually, not yet.
You should
But
tell you should teach guys saying that like, oh, I love to do this. 我中意一腳踏兩船. and say that to their girlfriends.
Oh my
And see what
god, real
happens.
idea.
That would be bad.
Real idea.
Real idea. We'll note that
Real
down.
idea. Okay.
So my
Nice.
question is, from all the guests that you've had and all the conversations you've had in your podcast, is there anything like I guess different that you've learned about the different kinds of Asian, or something interesting that maybe not a lot of people know?
Not necessarily something I
in your
didn't
podcast.
know, but something I found really interesting, or how I kind of try to make my podcast interviewing people different from myself, is that I'm trying to find more stories where it's highlighting that the always narrative is like Asian people in the West diaspora, they hate their family dynamic, they're not proud,
Yeah.
they have bad relationship with their parents. But I've been interviewing more and more people where it's like, hey, I love my family dynamic. I want to preserve those legacy traditions and stuff, and they're doing it through content creating. Like, I interviewed Randy from Made with Lao YouTube cooking channel, where
Wait,
he
is you said, is he the son or the dad?
he's the son.
Oh,
Yeah, so it's a situation where he made it a point where he's doing this content creating because of the fact that he wants to preserve his dad's legacy. So I love that about like the Asian diaspora stories, where it's like they're trying to preserve family traditions.
And I love it because they have a very warm feeling when he posts like these stories. And
I just want to show off like what all the cool Asians are doing, because I think it really helps with like younger kids and seeing like those people that are like them, like what they can do and what they could aspire to do, like provide that motivation. Because I think one of the biggest thing I subconsciously wanted to do, and someone like I interview like mentioned it, is like you are creating that show with voices that me as a 15-year-old kid would love to have heard, so that I could feel less alone, or I could know that, oh, it's okay. I can, like, someone else is also going through it, and that, it's no words of like advice and affirmation that is like things will be okay, or, well, there's a way to get beyond dealing with your identity issues. Because I think as a kid, your identity is so important, or like the biggest thing you're thinking about for a lot of things, other than of course like school and other things, right?
yeah, no, it's true. And I remember when I was younger, I was like, when I saw Wong Fu Productions like on YouTube, I was like, and Riot Niga Higa, I was like, it's like, I don't know, it was the nice representation.
The OGs.
Yeah, it feels good. So that's nice. I really like that, like what you do, and then kind of just like, for the younger generation to see what's out there and what's like the Asians.
But I think you guys are doing it even more, because you guys are like making like casual, being funny, and still teaching Cantonese, where a lot of people are like, oh, it's dying or whatever. I wish I could learn more, and you're providing that outlet for them to like, make it easier for them to look up for those resources or material, because it's hard learning Cantonese, regardless of like if you have all the materials.
Yeah, no, it's true. You can't learn everything from the books. You got to be like living in there, knowing the people, the slangs and everything.
You're the messenger to, Cantonese now on TikTok.
Yeah. We're all. But thank you. Okay, so last question, important question. What is your favorite Cantonese food or / underrated Cantonese food you could choose?
Okay, two comes up to mind in terms of my favorite. It's char siu fan.
Char siu fan.
And then I'll put a cha chan ten food is gok ju pa fan.
Oh,
yum.
And that's
and you can't remember to get a lai cha or ling shui or ling cha.
Yeah. Hong Kong lai cha, they just know how to do it. I don't know how it's so rich.
It's magic. This is magic. This gotta accept.
And like I try to like get like those packages, Hong Kong lai cha. Like
it's not the same.
It's not. I don't feel the richness, in my
like
tongue.
If you can find a good spot, you need to hang on to that. Like
okay, so char siu fan and gok ju pa fan. That's like
See, char siu is the type of stuff that's like, if the seafood stops making it, who's gonna make it?
Oh my god, yeah.
And you can't really make it at home, honestly. people say be like
Where are
home
you gonna
cooks.
hang it?
You're not able to. You just
Hang it
don't.
in your window.
I know like Randy made recipes, but like his dad is a chef, so he knows how to do it. But as a home cook, I think you're not
No.
gonna you can't compete.
I do have to confess, I have tried following Made with Lao's recipe, but I used like a freaking oven to make char siu.
And how was it?
I could taste the resemblance, but it's not as glazy, as juicy as char siu.
You have to season it with imagination.
Did it fix your craving?
A little bit. It did help, but yeah, it did help. It was good, and I think I would still use this recipe. If in the future char siu just disappears in restaurants, I would still keep using this Made with Lao recipe. Check them out.
Can I tell you? Can I say my like underrated food as well?
Oh yeah, sure.
Go.
Underrated food, I would say, is all the street food. People don't really think about those, like 街邊燒賣腸粉、碗仔翅、
牛雜。
牛雜。Oh yes，牛雜咖喱魚蛋。
多咖喱唔該。
All those are, I think,
Whatever
really
that sauce
underrated
is,
because I
even
think
more- yeah.
for tourists, they have no idea how to order. So that's why they will never
Yeah.
That's
get it.
true.
And they're
also
like, oh, it
maybe
looks
with-
dirty. I don't want
the
it.
health.
But it's like-
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's not like clean or.
so good.
But honestly, 牛雜,炸大腸, all those are so good.
炸大腸.
But again, those are
That's
really
cleaner
hard
than
for
Chipotle,
like.
by the way. Chipotle, you can actually get salmonella.
But honestly, those are too hard for like foreigners to really order because it's on the
I get
street,
it.
like it's quick kind of thing. Like they're like you man, and then you have to quickly
Yeah.
like tell them.
It's stressful, and like if you're like, oh, I don't know what I want. What's this? You can't ask what's this because like everyone's waiting in line, and then people are gonna fight la.
What's your guys underrated? I don't remember.
Last time, I think I said malai.
Tofu fa.
Tofu fa.
Yeah, you said
But
malai.
you're
I
not gonna
have a
get
new
them
one
with the
now, it's
texture.
tofu fa.
You're not gonna get them with the texture. If they're such texture people,
Yeah,
it's gonna be so weird for them.
It's true, I guess, right?
I love texture of food, and the tofu fa is just like
it's almost like
it's
water.
it
It's just
just
so
melts
smooth, like
down.
I don't know. Non-Asian people are so iffy about texture. I don't get it.
That's true.
But oyster has
but
weird
for me, it's
texture,
like I
and it's
like with the different textures. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
to give your
Aokan,
mouth
it's
some kind of
soft
flavor,
and it's,
right?
Like, it's easy to bite. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, you're right. I feel like non-Asians with texture is weird. It's like,
But like
I
people
don't
like
that. It's like-
oyster. Oyster is like the texture is slimy a little bit, but it's
I
like
love
fancy
oyster.
food,
So, are your partners okay with the texture of a lot of Asian food, or they're like, eh?
Mine is, yeah.
Yeah, mine is.
Oh, that's
okay.
good
Like,
then.
mine,
Yeah.
It'll be
and-
tough
yeah,
if they're not.
It would be sad.
Definitely. Yeah, they
Tofu
definitely know
fa.
what they're getting into.
What about what did you say?
Malaiko.
That's underrated. I don't.
Do you think people order that? Like, because I don't see so much, at least not, because it's always hagao, sumai, fun, Malaiko is not so like.
I think people don't think about ordering the desserts in dim
Oh,
sum
yeah,
if they're.
exactly, yeah.
Mine will
Yeah.
probably change over time just because I'm that indecisive.
I think tofu fa is a good like underrated food.
Right? Yeah, you're right. You know what? Actually, my boyfriend didn't like taho.
What's
Taho
that?
is basically tofu fa, like Filipino tofu fa. You know the one, the sweet white. It's white. It's the same as tofu fa. Taho.
What's the difference?
Exactly. I don't think there's a difference. It's like the white. It's white bean curd. Yeah, and I think he doesn't like it. No, yeah, you're right about the texture.
Kyle, thank you very much.
Do you want to add anything? Do
Oh,
you
yeah.
wanna
If you
shout
wanna
out
shout
anything?
out on any
Again,
thing.
thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast. I really enjoyed talking to you guys, and really fun conversation. And if you want to find out more about me, my podcast, just find us on any streaming platform. Look for What Kind of Asian Are You podcast, and follow us on Instagram at What Kind of Asian Pod. And
Yes.
keep supporting Asian stories. Support Outcasts from the 853 and all the Asian creators that are doing great things, and keep the language alive through memes and videos.
Yeah, and if you want to hear more Asian stories, and a lot of different backgrounds. Go to his podcast and check it out. And thank you very much.
Like and subscribe.
Thank you. Like and subscribe. Yeah.
Bye. Bye,
Bye.
Kyle. Thank you.
Bye, Kyle.
Bye.